Welcome contestant number 1, Douglas Crane. Douglas Crane. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. Douglas Crane.
Thank you, Contest Master.
You're welcome.
I didn't see it coming. Toastmasters and guests, how many of you have experienced love? Love is the most mysterious force in the universe. With it, we rise to ecstatic highs. Without it, we drop to the most precipitous lows. Tonight, I'm going to share 3 times in my life where I did not see love coming. The first time was in 2001 when I met my wife, well, the woman who would become my wife, Janet. Now, I was always a hopeful romantic, but as the years went by, I despaired that I would never find that special someone. And then one day I did, in a yoga studio of all places in West Palm Beach. And in that sacred space of spiritual retreats and enlightenment intensives, we forged a love so honest and so passionate that it puts any Hallmark movie to shame. And now, after 21 years of marriage, I can say without a doubt that her love has made me the man I am today. And I would love to tell you more about her, but I'm going to save that for another speech. The second time I didn't see love coming was in 2008, when my daughter, Sierra, was born. Now, I had always wanted to be a father, but I only understood it in that hypothetical sitcom dad kind of way. But there I was, sitting in a birthing suite at the Jupiter Medical Center, holding my infant daughter in my arms. And in that moment, I understood unconditional love. I knew I would move mountains for this little girl. I would do whatever it took to give her the best life possible. And today she is a bright, beautiful, compassionate 17-year-old woman whose love has transformed me in ways that I don't fully understand. And as any proud papa, I'd love to tell you more about it, but I'm going to save that for another speech. Because tonight, Toastmasters and guests, I want to share the love that in 1,000,001 years I didn't see coming. And it came from Ginger, my dog. Okay, how many doggy daddies and mummies are in the room tonight? All right, let me make one thing perfectly clear. I did not want a dog. I didn't want to be sentenced to walking a dog. I didn't want to pick up the poop. Ugh. And I didn't want my socks and shoes torn apart in its jaws. Well, in 2016, Sierra looked up at us and said, "Mommy, Daddy, can we get a puppy?" No, we're not getting a puppy. You have a cat and you have a hamster. That's enough creatures. Turned to Janet, expecting a solid wall of support. She said, "That sounds like fun, let's get a puppy." Oh my God. Before I knew it, we were at Furry Friends Rescue Shelter. My daughter surrounded by a sea of puppies brought in from Puerto Rico. And this one little shepherd Malinois mix would not leave her side. And that's the little doggie we adopted. We named her Ginger on account of her golden coat. And when we brought that little creature into our house, I immediately regretted it. It was everything I feared. She had uncontrollable puppy energy on the walks. And that poop, oh God, disgusting. And anything on the floor became her personal chew toy. Came to a head one night, I was sitting on the couch. She runs over to try and jump in my lap, her sharp nails digging into my shins. I stood up and said, "That's it! We are taking this dog back." Well, there was much sadness in the Crane household that night. But come light of day, I just didn't have the heart to surrender this innocent creature to an uncertain fate. So I persevered. And as the years went by, Ginger grew into a big 60-pound dog. We got her training to make the walks more manageable. I got a scooper to pick up the poop. And we learned to keep things off the floor. But then something happened that I did not expect. Ginger had a superpower. She was relentlessly affectionate. And laser focused, she turned it right on me. Whenever I was home, she was always by my side. When I was happy, she was there to celebrate. When I was sad, she'd nuzzle in close for support. And when I got COVID, she's the only one who didn't social distance. And then one day, I don't remember when, I realized I passed through the 3 stages of being a husband. You know, the first stage is when you're a newlywed. You come home at the end of the day, and your wife runs to meet you at the door. The second phase is when you're a father, and that little child runs to meet you at the door. The third stage is when you're a doggy daddy, and that little puppy scampers to meet you at the door. Every single day. Now, Toastmasters and guests, the time I really knew I'd fall in love with my dog was when I started reading her mind. Oh, you doggy daddies, you mummies, you know what I mean. Sitting there, tickling her under the chin, looking in her sweet little puppy dog eyes. And she looks up at me and says, "Daddy, I love you the most. I love the other 2, but I love you the most." I say, "Oh, Ginger, you're noble and true. I love you too. And I want you to know, you're a puppy. You've always been a puppy. You always will be a puppy. But most importantly, you're my little puppy. Goochie, goochie, goo goo." She looks up at me with a big grin, big kiss. Said, "Daddy, that's why I love you the most." 40,000 years ago, the first dogs came out of the forests and settled next to those early humans by their campfires. And they've stayed with us ever since, even when we've done things that should disqualify us of their love. But you see, a dog's love is noble and true. And if you've never experienced it, I invite you, go to your local shelter. You can foster a dog for a few days. And maybe you'll discover what I did, that the love of a dog is the love that you never saw coming. Contest Master.